Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm going to be going over how to build and play Bard appropriately. A little information about me for those who don't know me. I was the first player to ever hit 3k elo in arenas, and the majority of players in high gear score trios would agree that I am the #1 Bard on the game. I have 4,000 hours on the game, about 3.5 thousand of those hours being on Bard. I've been playing since playtest 4 and have a lot of experience on the class. I also stream daily on twitch.tv/NOSolitude and give advice and tips on the stream as well. With that said, let's start going over some skills, perks, and songs. Alright, so here's what you're typically going to run on Bard. Now there are going to be some exceptions to this. But this is typically the perks that you're going to want. Charismatic Performance makes it so that you can skip 1 to 2 notes depending on what song it is to get it to play perfectly. This one is a must. Superior Dexterity is a must as well. It allows you to quickly switch between your crossbow, your weapons, your instruments very fast. So what's really good about Superior Dexterity is you can bait people in by maybe reloading your crossbow. You can hit F quickly and then switch back to your rapier and stab the guy out as he comes in on you. That's a really good bait tactic, and this is why you're going to need Superior Dexterity. It also allows you to play your songs faster because when you're switching between your instruments, that time in between the switch isn't as long. Okay. Rapier Mastery, you're going to be using Rapier Mastery a lot of the times. Now, there are some exceptions where you're not going to be using Rapier Mastery. And those exceptions would be when you have a frontline melee that requires magic damage resistance. Okay, so like let's say I'm running a comp like Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, right? So if I'm running Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, I'm gonna want to run War Song and Storyteller so that my Cleric gets 3 knowledge and 3 will. My Barbarian also gets that 3 will, and whenever I play a song, he gets 3 extra weapon damage for 6 seconds. And when you're running War Song, you're going to want to use a Rondel Dagger, because it does a very high damage, and if you don't have on the Rapier Mastery perk, it's almost not worth running the Rapier over the Rondel. So this is what I typically run. And the comp that I typically run is either Bard Wizard Cleric or Bard Sorcerer Cleric. And yeah, basically, Storyteller is very important for classes that use spellcasts. It can also help you out with your memcap because it gives you 3 knowledge. And yeah, we'll get into that a little later here about the music. Now, there are going to be some times where you're going to be running Rapier Mastery and War Song and no Storyteller. When you're running Rapier Mastery and War Song with no Storyteller, you're going to be running this because you're running a triple DPS comp. That is pretty much the only use case. Besides, besides some other times, like there's very rare times where I'll run this when I'm when I'm running with a Cleric, and that the only time I've ever ran these 2 perks while I have a Cleric is when I was running Frontline Bard in my last video. That's like a very rare case. I pretty much never use these 2 perks together just because I'm always running with a Cleric. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're just going to want to be running, this or this if you're running a frontline comp, and occasionally this if you're running a triple DPS comp. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get into our music section. Obviously, your main 5 self buffs are going to be Rousing Rhythms, which gives you 2 all. Beats of Alacrity, which gives you 9 additional move speed to yourself. Ballad of Courage, which gives you 10 Fizz power. Harmonic Shield, which gives you and your allies 15 armor rating, 15 magic resist. And then Area of Alacrity, which gives you 8% action speed. These are your 5 self buffs, we call them, because these are buffs that are going to be on you at all times, and they last for a long time, right? Now we have other songs here, like Allegro and Accelerando. These are buffs that help you and your teammates. And yeah, we'll get into the use case for these in a little bit here. You're also going to be want to run Shriek of Weakness. This is a must, along with all of these. This whole wheel is a must, and then these three are a must. So you're going to always need these, and then these two are the ones that you might switch off for other things, depending on what you plan on using, right? So I run Banshee Howl because it minuses all attributes by 3 to nearby enemies. Banshee Howl is really good because a lot of the times you're able to use Banshee Howl to lower people's knowledge. And when you're lowering the knowledge of like a cleric, a wizard, a bard, it could take away enough memcap from them that it makes it so they don't have one of their spells, right? So like the reason why I originally started running Banshee Howl, and I was like kind of like theory crafted it, right, is because a lot of the games where you were Bard Wiz Cleric versus Bard Wiz Cleric, they ended up coming down to just a silence battle where bards are just full silencing the wizards, and whoever gets the better silences off kind of just win, because it allows the other team to get some free damage off. So basically what Banshee Howl did was, since you slot your memcap last for your loot, it would subtract 3 of their all attributes, which would make it so that some bards would not be able to play Song of Silence. And that was a huge advantage when it wasn't really known that that's what people were doing, right? I can name probably about 10 to 15 times in the first week where Banshee Howl simply won us the fight just because these people couldn't have Song of Silence. And it was really, really good at that time. It's still a very good spell, and I love running it for that reason alone. It just minuses their all attributes, which could give you a huge advantage in fights. And it doesn't only hurt clerics and spellcasters. It hurts barbarians too, right? Because they're losing 3 vigor, 3 dexterity, 3 agi for 20 seconds, and that's a pretty big debuff. So these are going to be your 2 debuffs here: Banshee Howl and Shriek of Weakness. You're typically going to be wanting to look for Shriek of Weakness on PDR players, specifically PDR players, so like fighters, barbarians. If you see someone that you think has a high PDR, you're going to want to use Shriek of Weakness. Here, let me slot this back in here. And basically with Shriek of Weakness, it makes it a lot easier to win fights against people. I wouldn't use it against any squishy classes that are fast, simply because you're better off just DPSing the squishy classes over going for a Shriek here. Now, Song of Silence is our last spell that we haven't really gone over. Song of Silence is a spammy spell that you can play all of the time. It only interrupts enemies' spell casts and skills, and it stops them from using those skills for 2 seconds, right? So if you can get a really good Song of Silence off where, like a wizard's pushing in, you get a Song of Silence off, your wizard or sorcerer frontline goes ahead and peeks him and gets free damage off, that can simply win you a fight just by hitting 1 Song of Silence, right? So Song of Silence is really good for that reason. It also allows you to fight wizards better. So like if you're going up to fight a wizard and he's pretty far away, but he's close enough that you can hit a Song of Silence, this song will help you be able to catch up to him without getting hit for free with spells, right? Yeah, so these are the 10 spells you're going to be running. I'm going to show you guys how to slot memcap real quick, okay? So here's the thing. So if you're running Storyteller and you're running all of my songs that I run, you're naturally going to get 5 knowledge, right? Because you have this 3 knowledge and then you have your rousing rhythms, okay? So the first thing you're going to want to slot in is your drum songs. So you're going to go with all of your drum songs. And then after that, you're going to be looking for your Shriek of Weakness and Banshee Howl. After that, you're going to be slotting in your green songs. And then you're going to go with Alacrity and Song of Silence, right? So as you can see, if we get 5 memcap, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that means I am only missing 4, right? 17 plus 5. Yep. 22 out of 26 we are, right? And then pretty much that means I need a lyre with at least 1 memcap to play my songs, right? I got a 2 additional memcap lyre. And then I need an at least 4 memcap lute, right? I typically run a lute with 2 additional memcap simply because of the people that have Banshee Howl. If they play Banshee Howl and I don't have enough memcap on my lute, I'll lose this song here, right? So that's the counter to Banshee Howl pretty much. Now, we're going to go into a build a little bit. I'm going to show you guys how to build Bard, and then we'll watch some gameplay and review it a little bit. And I'll just show you like some common mistakes that happen. All right, let's see here. Okay. All right, so let's build a fresh kit here. Now, typically, the stats we're going to be looking for is 150 HP. I've been recently looking for 30% action speed since it's a little bit easier to build. And we're typically looking for 33.5% plus PDR. Okay. Fizz power, we're looking for around 10% pre-buff, but higher is always better if we can get it. So let's go ahead and start building here. So there's 2 types of builds that you can do. Okay. You could do a... I'm just going to put on random pieces so you guys can see what I mean. We're going to call this a double heavy build, okay? Double heavy means that you have 2 heavy pieces on your chest and pants, okay? Double heavy builds are really strong in PDR. And they also typically give you a decent amount of HP just because you're running, you know, heavy leather leggings and possibly a heavy gambeson if that's what you're looking into. Double heavies, the pros about it, you get more PDR, but you're losing move speed, right? So it's a little harder to get that move speed. And I've typically been building around 293 move speed plus recently. So I haven't been using the double heavy build very often, although it's not a bad build if you're looking to go PDR heavy. The typical build I will go for is what's called a light heavy, which is like, you know, wander attire heavy leathers or, you know, Grand Brigandine cloth pants. It's basically light heavy or light heavy like this. And yeah, so that's typically how I'll be building. It's light heavy with a wander attire and heavy leathers. I'll typically look for a leather cap over a straw hat simply because it has more PDR. It only gives -1 more move speed. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on. The typical stats I'm looking for on my pieces is like this, for example. I typically would re-roll the vigor for physical power. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that here. Physical damage bonus is what I'm looking for. Okay, so on pants here, we already have the physical damage bonus, but I would like to get some dex on there. I'm gonna look for action speed since it gives a little bit more. There we go. Hat has 2 dex, max HP, fizz damage bonus. That's perfect. Then we're gonna go ahead and throw on some. Let's see if I have any good rivets. I got some decent ones here with 2 decks. And we're always going to use adventure boots since we build a lot of decks. Let's try and find some good ones. Those are pretty good. That should work. It's a little low on the move speed side since they don't have a lot of move speed on them. Our physical power is great. 29% PDR. Now, what we're going to be looking for here is a Mercurial. We're going to try and find one with some True Fizz, Mexa. That's pretty good. 4 decks. It gives me a lot of stats. Now at this point we're at 23.6% action speed. So I typically look for, on my Frost Amulets, 1 all, max HP, and action speed. Let's see if I have any here. We can re-roll this, unless we have one here. There we go, perfect, right there. Alright, now we're at 27% action speed, 148 HP. So we're gonna, since we're a little low on the HP side, we're gonna be looking for a Vigor Ring here. Looking for one with max HP, but we're always gonna look for all attributes on our rings and pendant, since it's pretty key. That's not bad, 157 HP, and we're still missing a ring. Now for the ring, we can go with a... We have good Fizz power. That one looks pretty good to me. Let's go with that. Okay, so we got 163 HP, 33% PDR, 31% action speed, 295 move speed. This kit's good. This is a good kit. Yep. This is how I'll typically build my kits. As you can see, we have over 10% physical power bonus, around 33% PDR, 31% action speed, and 163 HP with 295 move speed. This is a very good kit. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into some gameplay review here. Alright, so we're going to get into a fight here. I'm going to show you guys this clip. Comp we are running is Bard, Barbarian, Cleric. So as you can see, I got you know, my 3 base perks, and then I got War Song for the Rondel Dagger. So he does more damage as well, right?
We just need to close
So
that
I look
gap.
at the
They want to do as much
situation, it's
damage as
wicked.
possible.
We know we need to close the gap. I buff my Barb in since he can take more damage than me because he has more MDR. I get the silence off on the wizard, which allows my barbarian to get some free space in.
Hit the cleric.
I silence the cleric so he can't heal.
Hit the bard.
I swap over to the wizard, and once I swap over to the wizard, I read that he's looking for MMs because I see a purple spell right there, and I realize I have to do something about him, and my teammate will kill that bard no matter what, right? So when I swap over to this wizard, look what I do. Immediately, I get my buckler out, right? So I'm trying to negate that damage by full blocking his MM, and what you can do with MMs is fully block the cast, right? So you can fully block the cast so their MM cast stops completely, and then at the end of the day, like, he's screwed because he's getting damaged by me and he can't cast again right away, right? You see I block the MM fully, he goes for it again, I block it, and I kill him, right?
One left.
Bards 1.
2v1.
And then me and him just clean up. Alright, so here's another game here. We're going to go ahead and start it right when the fight starts. So what our comp is in this game is Bard, Sorcerer, Cleric. And our Sorcerer is playing Melee Sorcerer, right? I'm not running Rondel Dagger here simply because I need to be able to use the range of the Rapier to hit people in this this comp, I feel like. So I'm running Rapier Mastery, and as you can see, all my perks and stuff here. It's not the best kit. It does also a heavy light build, with the chest being a heavy piece this time. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. The comp we're fighting here is Barbarian, Bard, Cleric. And we said when we saw them that we were going to TP on the Cleric. Our Sorcerer was going to TP on the Cleric, kill the Cleric as I kite the Barbarian if Barbarian gets on me. And then after that, we're going to DPS someone together, right? So
3 big heals.
here we go.
They're coming in.
He sees it's Finn. He's coming in.
I'm about to TP behind.
Yep. He's getting ready to TP behind. I'm spacing the Bard here.
Gotcha, Sully. You're overhealed still.
Cleric dead. Cleric dead.
Cleric died.
Nice. You're gonna get famine.
I
You're
realize
going
I'm getting
auto.
doubled here. I block. Block again.
Bard's one. Coming to help you. Coming to help you. Coming to help you.
Barb shit on. Dead.
Barb's dead. Back up. Back up. Watch the crossbow. Watch the crossbow.
And then as you can see, I'm very low here, right?
Dead.
Right at
Barb's
this
dead.
time, my teammate realizes, hey, my teammate is low. He has a crossbow out. I cannot let my bard die, right?
Back up. Back up.
So I'm
Watch the
standing
crossbow,
behind him.
watch the
He
crossbow.
goes for the crossbow. I go for the drum throw. It kills him. And that's that. Let's watch that back
That was
one more
ridiculous.
time just so I can give a little
Gotcha.
more insight.
Gotcha.
Here, what's going on is I'm pretty much just sustaining against this bard, right? My goal is not to kill this bard, right? My goal is to distract the bard so he doesn't get on my cleric or my sorcerer. I go for the weakness so he gets on
Gotcha,
me.
Sully. Overhealed. Gotcha, Sully. You're overhealed still.
My teammate takes out the cleric, and then immediately I start full
Cleric dead.
DPS,
Cleric dead.
regardless of if he
You're
hits a
gonna
block
get
on me.
famine. I'm going.
And then the second they go to double DPS, I pull out
Auto.
my buckler, right? Now with this barbarian, what I typically do is you need to hit a lot of blocks on a barbarian for it to actually work, and like to full kill a barbarian. You need to pretty much skill gap a barbarian, right? You need to get very good at buckler blocks. You need to learn the patterns of the weapons. And yeah, so you'll see here.
Bard's
End up
one.
killing
Coming to help
him,
you. Coming to help you. Coming to help you.
Barb shit on. Dead.
Me and my cleric played this really well, and my sorcerer TP'd on the cleric, took out the cleric, and that was like a perfectly played fight. Let's get into the next one here. Alright, so the last fight here is a little bit of a different fight. As you can tell, my teammate is dead, and it is just me and my cleric. So this is going to be a little bit of pretty much what I call like some solo gameplay, right? Where I'm alone and I have to kill people in order to get out, right? So what ended up happening was my teammate died after getting fourth partied, and then it was just me and my cleric alive against a whole team that was still alive, right? So the team ended up chasing me around for a while. Nope. This map lows. As you can see, the wizard gets on me here, and I immediately look to jump down because I can see that there's no visual here, right? If the wizard is up here and I'm down there, he isn't able to freely hit fireballs and ice bolts. So I jump down here. I immediately pull out my loot because I realize that if I can get a good silence the second he drops, I might be able to full kill this guy. I start silencing immediately, get behind the corner so the ice bolt doesn't hit me. Silence him. Full kill the wizard.
Killed one.
Oh, are you in there?
Yeah, I killed
He
Do I
killed
need
one
to-
of the wizards.
Okay, I'm gonna try and
who
camp. I'm
was
gonna try and camp. I'm gonna get back.
Right here, I start healing up because I realize his teammates are going to be in really soon, right?
facing. It's always doing fine right now.
Okay.
Still healing up.
That was a play.
Now, in hindsight, I could have stayed down here for a little bit longer, but I had all those mobs on me, and I thought I needed to get out of there, right? If I did stay down here, there was a chance I could have gotten another 1v1, but it's more likely that his two teammates drop on me and they both DPS me, right? So if I go up here, I'm realizing, hey, maybe I'll have a little bit of a reposition and they won't expect it, right? What the?
There, you hear him, Sully. Careful.
I'm camping and I can get to you. We need to play.
Sully got this, bro. Sully's gonna
Okay,
fucking
okay, okay,
2v1 him. There's a bard coming on him. No sus, no sus shit.
And then that was a full box. And what ended up happening after that, I obviously died to the third. But if that player was fighting me alone, which it was more likely to happen that I was fighting that guy alone when I was up top there than down below, I would have been able to heal up again and possibly kill that third guy, right? So that's how I typically play when I'm left alone. You know, you have to single out players. You have to kite until you see an opportunity to get some full kills. And yeah, that's how I would have played that. So the main takeaways from the VOD review should be that you should always have a plan set up with your team if you have enough time. And remember that you're the strongest when you're with your DPS frontline. You should always isolate fights when you're left in a 1vx situation. Learning how to properly buckler block against each weapon is key. I mean, it'll allow you to get out of a lot of bad situations. And just like overall, it'll make you a better player and be able to survive for a lot longer if you can buckler block really well. Your main goal is always going to be double DPS someone down with your front line or bait players so that your front line gets free damage on backline. Always remember that you should be using your utility whenever you get a chance. Whenever your front line is in far enough, that makes it so you're not going to get damaged when you're playing that utility, like Song of Silence, for example. It's just really good if you can get those debuffs off. Even buffs like Celerando Allegra on your teammate as you're in the mid line. So a recap of how you should be, of how the kit is built. So you have a lot of action speed, right? So you can play songs really fast, but this also means that you can do fast DPS. So like you're proccing your true damage over and over and over again so many times that you should be doing a fuck ton of damage like really, really fast. It also allows you to block easier. So like you'll be able to get more hits off and then hit that block and still get more hits off, which is really, really broken. If you get really good at blocking, blocking and then DPSing, you can get an extra swing or two off, right? You build decent HP, so you're not going to be able to tank out other front lines until you get very good at buckler blocking and start practicing boxing higher statted classes. I would recommend practicing this stuff in arenas. Arenas is like a great utility spot, like a great sub for like actual games, right? If you want to learn mechanics of Bard, you should get into arenas, even if it's just a mid kit that you build. Get into arenas and start boxing, start learning. So you build decent physical damage bonus, and it scales really well with your quick swing speed. So you're proccing that true very fast. You're proccing all of your fucking weapon damage. It's scaling by a lot. And yeah, I mean, it just makes it so you can almost full DPS someone down with your front line in like under like 3 to 4 seconds, depending on the class, as long as you do everything correctly, right? So just remember that Bard is always going to be easy to be decent at, but it's going to be really hard to be very good at it, right? So like what I mean by that is, you can put anybody on Bard and they'll be okay. They'll be all right. Like it's not that hard of a class, but to get to the point where you're buckler blocking and you're using your utility and you're playing it really well, to the point where you may not even need to double DPS every single fight with your front line. That's when you get really good at it. You know what I mean? That's when you know, like, hey, like I'm becoming like a very good Bard because I'm able to do these things that I was never able to do before. That's kind of what I mean by all of that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this gave you some insight. Be sure to check out my Twitch. It's NR Solitude on Twitch. Yeah, if you guys got any questions, just let me know. Peace.